Hello, everybody, and just on time as well. Pistachio has joined, but he's now buggering off. Lovely to see you all. Thanks so much for coming in. I just thought that I don't know. Some of you seem to be mildly alarmed by my video where I was saying, "Look, I'm selling most of my fleet." You know, it's not really a fleet. The three cars, the Ferrari, the Peugeot, all that kind of stuff. And a couple of comments were also going, "Oh, YouTube must be going badly." It's not. It's actually going as well as it ever has done in terms of my views and the money I'm earning and everything. I mean, it does fluctuate, but at the moment, it's going really, really well. The reason why I'm selling the cars and why I wanted to do the live stream was just explain a bit more. I don't think I explained very well on there, but um, essentially all three need to go anyway, one way or the other. The contentious one is obviously the Influenza, and I understand that for a lot of people, that's been a little bit of a it's been a bit of a difficult one to swallow because you're all really, really invested in that car. It was amazing. I am as well. It was incredible for the channel, but ultimately, it's kind of reached the end of the road in many ways because I always hesitate to say this and just touching wooden cabinet at the moment, but it is fixed. So there isn't going to be a constant string of things I could have done with it. It was always going to be a temporary purchase. I was only supposed to have it for a year. And so I thought, okay, you know, uh, I'm going to sort of move on. Now, if you all have any questions, one of the things that has been pointed out and I'm interested in discussing tonight is that obviously it has now become yet another review channel. And I understand that. And I think it is a fair point. There are a lot of review channels. JM does a great job, but, there's loads of them out there. Thing is, doing the spannering, I talked about all this in the previous live stream as well. Doing the spannering wasn't covering the bills. I'd work a whole week, do a video, it would get 25,000 views, 30,000. I'm getting way more by doing what I'm doing now. And can you actually all confirm? Can someone confirm you can hear me? Because I'm not even sure if you can. You can. Great. Thanks, guys. Yeah. So basically, it just it wasn't working. So one thing I should have said more. I think in the video that I released, it was a bit rushed. That video is that look, it's not that I'm never going to do any more project cars at all, and the Ferrari is going to go. The Bentley has been sold. I'll talk to you more about that yesterday in a minute. But the Bentley has gone. The 306 needs to go. The Ferrari needs to go. I'm going to replace them with two cars. I am going to get a daily. It might be a bit boring. It could be a Golf GTD. I had a few suggestions from you, and we can talk more about them today. I think the Volvo V40 T5 someone mentioned, and some other stuff as a daily that I can get. But I am going quite. I'm driving quite a lot at the moment, and I would like something fairly cheap. And then with the Ferrari, I am going to have to take some money out because the money I used to buy it in the first place was never supposed to go towards the car. I need to take that back out. But I think I will then have left around £20,000 to buy something else, maybe a bit more. I don't know, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get a Pantera because really you're looking at 70, 80 grand minimum or anything of that kind. But I might still work on cars. I might do a little bit, but also for health reasons, I've got joint problems, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get into a situation like I was before, where I was working for 2 or 3 days solid outside, sometimes in in winter, and and all that kind of stuff. Really, so that wasn't going to work. So it's not that I'm totally abandoning working on cars. It's not going. I'm not going to have any fun cars, and it's not that it's going to be simply a car review channel, and we'll discuss that a bit later as well. I have been kind of keeping an eye on your messages, but there's so much stuff going on that I'm going to kind of forget. But loads of you said hello and good evening. Good evening to you all. I can't just read out all your names because we'll be there forever. But I think let's try and give this some structure. I've got an hour tonight, so I need to go at 10. First of all, let me all give you an update on the Bentley. The idea of the Bentley was, the whole idea of it was, can I buy a cheap Bentley and get away with it and not lose any money? And I can now confirm, I mean, I knew I was, but I can now confirm I have lost money. It's not an inordinate amount, but I bought that car for 18,750. I ended up selling it for 18,500. I think I could have got a bit more if I held on, but quite frankly, with the way things are at the moment and it's summer and all the rest of it, decided to sell it. But on top of that, £800 for the headlining, £600 for the service, and that was discounted. 150 for a no, 100 for a battery, 100 for the problem with the um I had a relay that was basically cutting out the battery. Bentley wanted 600 for that. I got it second hand on eBay for 100. And then lastly, 150 to program out the TPMS. So I'm down close to £2,000 for 6 months ownership. Could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot better. I was really unlucky with the headliner sagging because obviously that car was 18 years old. So it's been fine up until now. I own it for 6 months, and the first time I have it, the headliner goes, which is one of the main things that goes on those. So anyway, it has gone now, and that's fine. I will now try and have a look at some of your messages and see where we are and if there's any questions that I can answer straight away. I think a few of you have suggested things, I think jokingly, Vauxhall Frontera for the win as a replacement car. And let me see, lots of people, I think this is at the beginning, complaining they couldn't hear me because I wasn't talking. Thank you to everybody who's joined from the US as well, because I know the times are difficult. Someone from Sydney as well, I saw. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning there. So thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate that. Mr. Mozilla says, get rid of the wife, not the Ferrari. Don't have a wife. Do you have a girlfriend? But she's pretty low maintenance, to be quite honest with you. The Influenza is a lot more trouble, quite frankly. And yeah, I mean, I would like to keep the Ferrari. I have a lot of hello, Bob. No, you MCL from Ottawa. I do know, it's a difficult thing. It's a car that's super special, and it does run nicely. It sounds nice. It looks nice, but it's an open top car as well. So on my roads are really bumpy. Being the GTS, you can really feel it flexing around. They're not the ideal roads for it. I think it will have to go, but we'll see. Someone wants the Frankenlee's mic. No way. That's not going anywhere. A bit of love for Pistachio, which you saw for a bit, but he's now gone. I was hoping he'd be around a bit more. He might turn up again a bit later. Someone's mentioned atomic number. I think that refers to number 27. I've said this a few times, but I'll say it again. The channel name, number 27, comes from the first car that was ever on the channel, which is a Porsche 964, which was in cobalt blue. The atomic number of cobalt is 27. Not brilliant, I know, but I set it up about 11 years ago now, so you can forgive that. Hello, Barry, Integrale Dave, Rob Coleman, Volker, Carl Harvey. Hello, buddy, long-time subscriber. Lost Cabrio, Duncan Letts, just going through hip finds. Hello, divorce? No, no divorce. So that's the other thing. I think, what's his name? Hoovy is obviously on a totally different level to me. Is also selling most of his fleet, a much, much bigger fleet. But that's because I think of personal issues. Someone's mentioned divorce. I think that could be it. But it's nothing like that for me. It's just a time to get through these cars and do some other stuff. Peter Barber, hello, Mark as well, saying the Bentley's a footballer's car. You know what? That Bentley, yes, okay, has a certain kind of image. And mine was even worse because, with a W12 Yum was such a wanky number plate. But honestly, I really enjoyed having it. And it was great for the longer journeys. And on the long journeys, it would get 23, even 24 if you stayed at a steady 70 miles to the gallon. But obviously, the long-term costs are catastrophic. Lost Cabrio says, buy another tomato. I love the BX. I really did. But I've done that now. If I did come across one at some point, I would love to have one again. But obviously, I'm not going to look for one specifically. Tem Carman says, get another Ferrari. Well, I'd love to. But as I said, I just got to be a bit more sensible with that money rather than just plow it into another car. But we'll see. We'll see what I can. Might have to be less money than a Ferrari and get something else. I would love a Fiat Dino Coupe, but they're quite close in value to my 308, which I would find that really hard to sell the 308. And the Dino, as amazing as it is, it's not as pretty as the 308. It's not a full Ferrari. So I don't know. Loads of people, back to when I asked if you could hear me. So thank you to all those who agreed that you can hear me. If I miss your message, by the way, or question, just ask again, okay? Because sometimes it sort of spins through. I'm trying to go back here to... okay, I'm just going to start again from where this is. And again, repeat your question if I miss it. Theo Marshall says, Loved your reviews, but loved your build channels as well. You need to find cars and build them, sell them, or raffle to invest, and etc. Look, as I said, I will try and do. I will get another project car of some kind, and I will do that. The Frankenlees also needs work, but if you look at those videos, they just don't get much in terms of views. So I'm going to do it for me rather than doing it for YouTube. So it'll be something I want to do. If it doesn't do well, it's not a problem because I'm going to do it for me anyway. If I try and go down that road, you know, you look at channels like Matt Armstrong, it's incredible what Matt's doing. It's absolutely amazing. But first of all, he's taken massive risks. Secondly, the amount of money he's invested in it. Thirdly, I don't think I have the energy to do the amount of stuff he's doing. And I don't know if working on cars to that degree is something I want to do going forward. But again, I have some ideas and we'll talk about that later about what else I can do to make the channel different. But if you have any ideas on that, you know, things that aren't impossible to do on what I can do differently. For example, last winter I did a lot more of the vlog stuff, like the Russian steel video, that kind of stuff. I want to carry on doing more of those, but they have to be interesting. Now, Jonathan says Porsche 993 Carrera 2, again, too much money. And I've done the Porsche 964 thing anyway. So, but yeah, 993s are cool. Hello, Vampire Bear in the US. Ohio. Drew, plans for the Elise, long-term keeper. Yes, it is. I need to, still not quite handling quite right. And the tires on it are a bit worn unevenly. So I need to do some work on it, essentially. The idea of a final road trip in the Influenza. Right, everybody, let me know what you think of this. I had thought about this, going to the Ferrari factory, all that kind of stuff. But again, I don't think that video will get many views. Say it gets 40, even 50,000 views, which for a road trip video that I do, I think is optimistic. It's going to cost me a fortune to do. It's going to take a long time when I'm not working, all the rest of it. I don't think it's a doer. What I am thinking of doing is setting up a live meet with everybody where I take the Influenza. And I've done a couple of these already at Bicester Heritage when they do the scramble. But obviously you have to have a scramble ticket. So I'm thinking this time of maybe meeting somewhere where we don't have to do that. Maybe Caffeine and Machine, I don't know, I need to talk to them, or somewhere where we can do that. And we can basically, and then you can all see the Influenza before I sell it. And also we can do the first sort of live meet open to everybody. So that's one idea for the Influenza. And the thing about that is it's so iconic. I would love as many of you as possible to see it. Some of you have already seen it at Bicester, but it's a great looking car. It sounds great. I'd love you all to see it before I sell it. So that's the plan I'm having at the moment. And if we do something like that, I can also do a little video. Won't get any views, but that doesn't matter, right? Because if we just spend an afternoon, have a bit of fun, maybe interview a few people, you know, that would be great. So that's my idea for a sort of going out thing for the Influenza. I'll get to your comments later, but tell me what you think about that, if that sounds okay. Trade in the Influenza for my Cayman GT4. That's from Sibavita. Sorry, not sure if I pronounced your name right. GT4 is a great car. I'd love to have that. Again, though, money-wise, I think it's more than I'm going to have spare. Another Merkel Volvo. Richard Bartholomew again. Well, guys, when I quite fancy having a Volvo. When I did the Bismarck, again, that was getting no views. I thought that'd be great, but it was getting no views, and it was a lot of work. That car ended up losing money on that as well somehow, even though, you know, I basically painted it myself. So not sure about that. I would like an old Merc just for me, though. You know, W124. QV is for sale, thank you, but too much money. Ford Capri, no thanks. It was great to do the video, and you know, it was really great to experience the Capri, but it's not my kind of car. Get an Audi Quattro, never driven it actually. And the three things approach, Ben Buchanan says, not sure what the three things approach is. Is it sort of start, middle, and ending, Ben? I don't know, explain, Ben, because I'm not sure. GW, your background with automobiles and the significance of number 27, I've already explained, so I won't do that again. My background with cars is just that I love them, and I've learned through time of tinkering and doing stuff, and you know, all that kind of stuff, really. Just had Something through from Jez Collins. Thanks for the donation, bud. He sold a 3.0 GTS, and now what about an XJS for me? Did like it. There's a video I've done on that. I don't know if you've seen it, Jez, but yeah, really liked that. And it'd be, I would like that. But again, I don't know. Well, I don't know. It's a possibility, I suppose. Now, someone else did a donation earlier. I've missed it, but I'll find it, chap. Sorry if I missed you before when you did that. Volvo 805 T5. Yeah, could be a possible. The Elise has the project car, but it is a project car. I'm not going to do mad stuff to it. Just want to get it absolutely spot on. 850 project, interesting. Kevin, thank you. I'm glad that you like the reviews and you say they're unique. Nathan, hi to California. Richard, Mercedes 190. Yeah, quite cool cars. I'd like the, which one is it? The 16 valve. I've forgotten, 2.316 or whatever it's called. That would be quite interesting. 987 2.7. Yeah, very cool, Ryan. Hey, Richard. Bartholomew, that is. Hello from, wow, Arizona. Hello, Sal. Carl Hamilton, get a T5R estate. Yeah, quite a lot of love for the Volvos here. Hi from California, from Stillim. Hello, thank you, buddy. Another Andrew wants the 190E project. Yeah, that would be cool. 944 turbo. Do like them, and I actually prefer 944s to the 968s. Is it a 968? Yeah, turbo, but again, not really up for that. Ferrari 355, dream car, but would have to be a manual coupe. It's just not going to happen, is it? Because there's so much money now. Rotary from Tinkiamat. Yeah, a rotary would be cool. John, hello, early on in the morning in Sydney. Jez Collins. Oh, there we go. Got your message, Jez. Marks the spot. I know, Jez, that you regret selling. I will regret selling the Influenza, but look, it has to be done. Look, well, I haven't sold it yet. Who knows? I could change my mind. But really long term, I think it has to go. So we'll see. I think it will take a while to sell because it's a very specific car, as we know. So I don't think it will happen that quick. Marks the spot. Nice drive in the country with the 308. As I mentioned, meeting up with everybody. I think I'll come to those messages, see what you think about that idea so you can all see it in person. Richard Bartholomew, hello, mate. Ben Buchanan. 10 car series was brilliant. Ben, it was when the channel was quite small. So that was, for those who didn't see the channel back in those days, that it was 12 cars. I wanted in 1 year to buy and sell 12 cars I'd always wanted to own. Back 10 years ago, you could do that because I then bought, I think I bought for 15 grand was the ceiling price. And I had like an Esprit Turbo 1984. I had an Integrale, a 16 valve, all stuff. Be very hard to do it again now with cars that were actually interesting for the same money. But someone wants me to do a poll, should I keep the Ferrari or not? I'm not doing that because I know you're all going to tell me to keep the Ferrari. That's Stu. And, if I can't, I can't. Mark Smith, a girlfriend that doesn't cost money. Jack, my partner, is asleep. Hey, Mark. David, 964 Carrera 2. Had one, 964. I did loads of videos on that, and I did a load of work on that car and went from 964 to a 2. Carl Hamilton, always wondered, was 27 good? Glad you. Holland, thank you, Jussi, for the invitation, or Justin to Holland. Nissan or Toyota hatchback as a daily. And a GTV once. So I've had a GTV 1750, Martin, a 105 series Giugiaro car. Would love that, but they're quite a lot of money for what they are. But we'll see. No, Pistachio. Well, I haven't seen him scratching the bonnet of the Peugeot. That was funny in that video when he jumped up just as I was talking about the Peugeot having been repainted. Thankfully, he didn't use his nails. He just uses his pads. But still, he is a little shit. More love for the Volvo. 205 GTI, no, did love it, but no, I'm not going to get another one. Andrew Wallace, thank you, buddy. Good time to change cars. JWJ 2000. Good. I'm glad that you're happy with what I'm doing, buddy. Still in 308 videos. Glad you enjoyed the 308 videos. Yes, 308 GT4, I would absolutely love to do. But again, they're now sort of similar money to the 308, the GT4s, to the GTSs. So I don't know, it's a lot of money. The comments have shifted again, so I'm probably going to miss a few of your questions here, and I'm sorry about that. Repeat them. So Lucky Limbo says a Lambo, Golf VR6. No, not my thing. The Mondo. Pseudo Lambs, Levi Dance. We spoke via Insta. Oh, good chat. That's Pseudo Labs. Nice to see you. Kavinsky, Steve. Anyway, okay. Tuned Allegro from Wizard Sleeve. I think who's the Johnny's already doing that, isn't he? Johnny Smith. Type R. Look, Rob. Yeah, I did an Accord Type R. I looked at and almost bought instead of the Peugeot. Those engines, you have to keep them to make any progress. You have to keep them above 6,000 revs, and I don't have the mechanical. I have too much mechanical sympathy to have a car that you have to thrash absolutely all the time. NZ guy says, "What's the best Tamiya RC cars?" Well, the classics are my favourites. The Super Champ, the Rough Rider. All those sort of early cars, quite like a Frog, got loads of them, and especially the really obscure racing stuff, which isn't Tamiya, much more sort of high end. A modern Citroen C6, probably not for me, Swiss car guy, but nice suggestion. 350Z, interesting. Fridge Magnet, hi from Jersey. Hey, buddy. Loads of classic. Scirocco Mark 1 or 2. Don't know about a Scirocco. I am going to do a video on one though, so I have got that booked in, I think, for September, so you will be seeing that, but an early Scirocco. Lot 76 cars, hey buddy. Still thinking of an XJR? So many people on YouTube are doing XJRs, and it's such a big car. I was really hoping that the was it the XKR that I did, the later sort of the coupe version, but it was too small because it's basically yeah, I don't know about an XJR. I would have liked to have one, but it's a big car. Alpha 4C in comparison to the Elise, Peter Barber. Peter, there is already a review of a 4C from years ago, but it isn't bad. It's in the Swiss Alps, and there's also a comparison between the Alpha 4C and the Evora that I had. So have a look at those, and I'm sure I'll do a 4C at some point soon again as well. Hey, Alexander Nissen, who likes the Elise. Rolf Stevenson says the chicks love the 308. Not worried about that at the moment. Saab 9-3. Yeah, it's quite cool for a modern car, I suppose. Carlson Saab 9000. Again, just too much money at the moment. E46. I had an M3 Antlis. I had an E46 M3 already, so I've done that. Yeah, it'd be cool. And again, when I bought mine, I think I paid $8,000, and it had 62,000 miles, manual, coupe. Nowadays, God knows what it would cost. Saab 9000 Turbo. Did a review on that, and it was a cool car, but probably not something I'd buy at the moment. Pretend to you, maybe some Eastern European communist auto. No, thanks. Skoda, Volga, Dacia. Not at the moment, Pretender, but maybe at some point. Volvo Amazon, Kuhn car, Kavinsky, cheap, beautiful Jag. Yeah, there are loads of cheap, beautiful Jags, actually. Some of them are still bargains, and I do like Jags a lot. 504 Coupe would be cool. Not that easy to find. RS Jamie. Hi, Jamie. How you doing? We've spoken a few times. See how long you can run it without spending any money. Great consumer advice in today's climate. The cheapest car possible. That's an interesting idea, really. Whatever's cheapest out there. What I have found, though, I got given by a viewer an Audi A4 station wagon, which I kind of did up. It needed an MOT, and then I gave it to some Ukrainian refugees. And I swore I'd never do anything like that again because it was super unpopular. Not only that, I got loads of abuse for, I don't know, taking a position on Ukraine, which I wasn't. It wasn't a military thing. And so I kind of swore I wouldn't go down the really cheap route again, but it would have to be something interesting. It is a fun idea. Quattroporte 5, which is, I think, is that the latest Quattroporte from the late 2000s? Do like those. JM's had one or couple like them, but I don't know about modern Maseratis. I had a Grand Sport. It wasn't my favorite car. Amazing engine, looked brilliant, but really confused car. Way too sharp to be a tourer, way too big and heavy to be a sports car. It was a bit of an odd one. Jack Tucker, hello, mate. Martin Smith, old Lancia, like a better Volume X. So I am doing a video. I've got it booked end of August on a really rare Lancia Beta, the Coupe one, which is a Volume X, so a really rare car. So that would be cool, but I probably wouldn't buy one. Andrew wants, what car would you like, Jack? Well, as I said, a Fiat Dino would be great. If it was 25 grand, 30 grand, brilliant, I would have it. Tickford Capri would be awesome, to be fair. Amage. Is it Amage 7? Lot 76, a Resto mod. Don't know. Range Rover Classic. Range Rovers, there's other people who do those. I think it's Joel has done them to death, and yeah, not that bothered. Massimiliano Pianeschi. Ciao, Massimiliano. I assume he is Italian. Maserati 4.2. Maybe. I already talked about Maseratis, not sure. V70 T5. I think I had a look at V40, is it? T5 could be interesting. Curveball and using sales money from the Influenza to learn how to fly and get private pilot's license. James Kavanagh. That's interesting, but I'm not sure it would work for the channel, that it would be, people would be that interested. Unfortunately, when you have the channel and you have a subject, if you suddenly deviate, it's generally not the done thing. They say you should start another channel if you completely change what you're doing. Clio RS200 would be great. Andrew, Peter Barber, RX-7s. Yeah, I like all RX-7s. I like a lot of Mazdas. RS500, way too much money for me. If you need another 308, the QV is a better car, and Ratterosso isn't doing anything with his. Yeah, no, I know Scott well, but yeah, I don't think I'd get another one. Kavinsky, Saab 9000, Richard Bartholomew, T5. Why do you have to sell the Ferrari? I said, I kind of can't keep £60,000 there, the whole of it. I need to liberate some of it because that money was never supposed to be spent on a car. See how many of you there are. 520. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Have patience with me as I take any ages to go through the comments. The Matra, they're cool cars. Probably wouldn't own one. Michael Nolan, hello, buddy, in the US. MX-5, yeah, love the MX-5, guys. Love it, love it, love it. But it's too similar to the Elise. Very different to drive, but very similar cars. And so I wouldn't do it. Carl, glad you enjoyed 12 cars. I did like it. I think it might have jumped again. So again, sorry, and please repeat your questions if I've missed them. I'm just trying to go back. Jez has a 308 GT4, lovely car, but the wiring is a nightmare. Yeah, no, I really like GT4s a lot. E23 7 Series, too big for me, David. What about a Mini from Kavinsky? I had a Mini GP, the first series GP of the new Minis. And it was incredible, little go-kart. And again, I did that in the 12 Cars series that I did about 8 years ago. Mercedes W11, I like them, but I don't know. Boxsters, that's ES CXCR in Toronto. Hi, buddy, in Canada. I hope you get a W. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I like them. Don't know if I'd buy one now. Dahlia Smart Roadster. Everybody's going on to me about Smart Roadsters and how good they are. I haven't driven one yet. I will do. A Fiat X19. Great cars, but probably not at the moment. James Kavanagh, can you talk about car market values in the future? No, because I always get it wrong. And I've already done a video like 3 months ago about why I think that long-term investment in car prices is not a good idea. So I'm not going to repeat it again because a lot of you might have seen it. But if you haven't seen it, just do a search for number 27 classic cars. And it's the latest one where I'm on the thumbnail rather than the early one with the Porsche. But just so you all know, I did one of these videos about 6 years ago saying car prices were going to crash on classics. They didn't. They went completely the other way. And the new one that I've done, still saying they're going to crash for different reasons, though. I think it's valid. But ultimately, I think, forget it. You shouldn't buy cars for what they're worth. I'm not selling the Influenza because I think it's going to lose value. I'm selling it because it's kind of run its course. And that money is money I will need in the future. Now, if it was going to say, if I thought it was going to hold its value, you could think of it as an investment. But I don't think classic cars are ever a great long-term investment. If you get in at the right time, you can make good money. But as a long-term investment, it's just not for me. but yeah, if you're interested, have a look. There's loads of reasons why I think it's going to crash. Younger generations aren't interested in classic cars. Petrol, people are, it's becoming really unfashionable, smelly petrol cars. Hardly anyone can drive manuals. The generational thing where people like cars from when they were sort of 18, 20, couldn't afford them. And that goes through and changes. So lots of reasons about that. Ferdinand Vroom, hello, buddy. Electricity are one of the iconic cars from the 80s and 90s. Yeah. And Massimiliano, again, you say any Maserati. You know what I would love to have, everybody here? I would love to have one of the early biturbos or biturbos from the sort of late 80s, very early 90s. Like that Ghibli that I did a video on, which is a second or third gen Ghibli, not the modern one you have now. Bloody loved it. I mean, they're really flawed cars, but I think they're really cool. I'd love to have one of those. It will drive me mental, but I really would do. Swiss car guy, American cars, yeah. Good fun and really good value as well. Whatever he's called, just E55 AMG, enjoy it. Volvo P1800S. I like the way they look. Really pretty car. Alpha 6. I'd love to do a video on one of those. They're so weird. I love those. Tom Carter, if you know who owns the Alpha 6, I want to do a video. There's a video coming out on a Giulietta, the 1980s one. The 115 series, I think it is, or 116. So that's coming out soon. And I'm looking for more obscure. I want to do an Alfetta. I want to do some of those obscure Alphas. Nissan Leaf. Rob, no, thank you. The Palm. Lancia Thesis. Do you know what? I would quite like to have one of those because they're so weird. I don't think they sold them here. Andrew Lamb, the Fiat Panda. Hey, you mentioned that, I'm sure, in one of the comments of the video. Pandas are brilliant. I was in Italy for my birthday, the end of June. We went to the lakes area where we have a house, and my grandparents' old house. And I got one of those pandas, a rent panda, which was one of those half sort of light. What do they call them? Light, where they have a battery, but it's only a sort of a light help. I don't know, light hybrid thing. It was interesting. Not sure it was really that good, but 600 Sporting or 500, a bit too small and toy-like at the moment. Fiat 500 from the 60s, they are cool. Absolutely love them. That would be part of the bigger collection. Dolomite Sprints are cool, Ian. Richard 663 AMG, not sure about that. Maybe Jensen Interceptor Matthew. Too much money and a lot of trouble, but they're very cool cars. Something cheap like the Ford Puma Coupe. Yeah, I agree. MGF 916 GTV. Peter, I did have a 916 GTV, and there are videos of it. I think I bought it for 800 quid. Brilliant car. 70,000 miles. It was really good. I'm sure they're more money now. Old Land Rover doesn't particularly appear, Andy. Backer. Kyosho Optima Mid, that's a radio controlled car. So that is something that I've already got. Swiss car guy, thanks for the content. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, buddy. Swiss car guy, very nice for you. Jacob Lee, B7 RS4. Yeah, that would be cool, actually. I quite like them. I would like the, what's the Porsche RS4 called? Anyway, those are cool, but they're loads of money as well. Andrew Loizu says 65K sounds cheap for the 308. I think it is a bit cheap, but is it cheap? It is cheap in a way. I think mechanically and the state of the car, as you will see if you guys come and see it when we arrange this meetup, it's beautiful. It's really, really good. But it is a high mileage car for a Ferrari. I think 80,000 miles, and it's left-hand drive. It was a color change, although you cannot tell it's a color change wherever you look. I haven't seen a sign of white anywhere, so it's done properly. But those two things mean that I can't ask too much for it, really. Objectively, I think I've got between 55 and 60K in it. So if I get that, that will be fine. They've just skipped, again, the messages, but RS Jamie was saying 1590i, and I love the way they look. I haven't driven one, but apparently they're not that great to drive, Jamie. But that would be quite cool. Here we go. Then 406 coupes, yeah, cool car. Star Traveler. Massimiliano says an M6. Not my thing, that one, I'm afraid. W204C63. I don't know much about that era of Mercs, really, but I'll have to look into them. Let's see. Saxo VTR, bit too toy-like again, a bit too similar to the 306, really. Cornish Rider, E46s, or any Alpina. I'd love to have an Alpina of some kind, actually. 850 CSI with Alpina G from Germain. Yeah, cool car. I'm behind what's happening. You're selling nearly everything, changing the channel. Air-cooled is asking. Hopefully you've heard what I've said already. I don't want to repeat it. I'm not selling everything. I'm not changing the channel in particular. I am going to look to do something to add some value, and we'll talk about that a bit more in about 10 minutes. But if anyone gets any ideas on what I should do to add value to the channel, put it in the comments and then we can get to that. But essentially, I am now doing mainly car reviews. I am going to buy another car. I am going to continue to tinker with the cars a little bit, but I need to do more. So those blogs that I did, I want to do a bit more of those regularly, say once a month. But they have to be interesting subjects. I usually research them quite a lot. As I mentioned, the Russian steel one was one of the type of things I'm talking about. But also, I don't know, what else can I do to differentiate the channel a bit more? Can I still do reviews, but do something, add something that other people aren't doing? I've wondered that in the past. So at the moment, what I'm trying to do is do a lot more research rather than just jump in a car and say how it drives. Look for interesting bits of its history to talk about before. But if you have any other ideas, then yeah, put them down on what I can do to make things a bit more specific to me, to make the brand a bit different, because I do understand that at the end of the day, a car review is a car review. So I don't know what I could do, but I am thinking about it, and we'll see. Simon Rockman, Mint MX-5 MB to compare. Thank you, Simon. I'll keep that in mind. Chrysler Crossfire, no. Thank you, though. Grand Cherokee, not my cup of tea, but I don't mind them for actually for an SUV 4x4, but it's not the kind of car I normally buy. More videos with a Merc girl. God, what was her name? I can't remember. Sergio, I think is another Italian. But yes, no, I haven't seen her for a while. Richard AMG, thank you so much for your channel. Thank you, Historicar, really appreciate it. Graham, Civic Type R EP3, Z4, Andy Becker again. Interesting. Carl, Aston Martin of some kind. I don't know what Aston I would get, because the modern ones, I don't know. I'd love to have a V8, like a 1980s V8. That would be really cool. Elysium says, just buy my Dino Coupe 2400. Well, Elysium, send me a message. Let me know what you've got. I do like the Dino Coupe. Opel GT 1900, interesting car. Have you tried to meet with Harry Metcalf? No. I have actually come across him on that road. Everyone always goes on about Harry's road. I actually live closer to it than Harry does, but that'd be great to meet him. I'd love to meet him. I've seen him go down the road and stuff. I've waved to him, but I've never had the chance to talk to him or anything like that. No doubt someday I will. Paul says 240Z. Yeah, cool. But again, if you mean the early one, probably a bit too classic and too expensive. TR6, yeah, cool. Monty says, do you ever take a day off? And now this is something else actually worth quickly mentioning. And I'm going on holiday in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that's going to be the first time since I've gone full time, I think 2 years ago, that I'm literally going to have, I'm still going to put the videos out. I've got some planned, but then I'm not going to look at stats and all that kind of stuff. The most stressful thing I find about YouTube, apart from the amount of time that goes into it, is the constant worrying about your stats. So at the moment, I've had a couple of videos that have done incredibly well, the TVR Tuscan and the latest Pantera video. They're both over 300,000 views. It's lovely when that happens. Really dispiriting when you do some videos that you think are going to do incredibly well, spend a lot of time and effort on them, and then they don't. But that's the way of YouTube. A couple of examples of those are the BMW M1 video I did recently, which is under 50,000 views, and the Lamborghini LM002. Both I thought decent videos. A lot of people telling me they were great, messaging me, my friends and whatever. But for some reason, they just haven't had the numbers. It's just odd. Lancia Fulvia from Matt. Yeah, I love those. And I would like to get a Fulvia, but, well, I don't know. We'll see. Citroen 2CV, not really a very practical car. They are cool, though. Porsche Cayenne with a 6-speed manual. No thanks on the Cayenne. Not my kind of car. Matthew mentions the 1750 or 2000. I've talked about those already. Steve Edmonds, be cool to see a future classic series. That's a good point. Cars that I think will become future classics. It's going to be really hard to tell what that will be, though, because, as I said, my view is young people aren't really bothered about cars. I don't know what future classics there's going to be. Will it be? I don't know. The first electric BMW. Funnily enough, the first Tesla, which is based on a lease, they go for silly money now. I think $350,000. One of those went for. So there you go. That's a classic, and it's electric. Jacob says, "What's the best way to buy and sell cars without losing too much money?" Don't ask me, because I almost always lose money. Benzina says, "Fiat Multipla." No, but thanks for watching, buddy. But no, not for me. Cool people carrier, but not my kind of car. Ugly thing, but I quite like the fact that it's ugly. More likes from the C63 AMG, but don't think so at the moment. Graham K's got a 1982 two-door Mark III 1.3 gear, totally left in the UK. Is it worth anything? Probably. Loads of people like that stuff now, that early Ford stuff. Chops Garage has a smart Brabus Roadster for sale. Jensen Interceptor, someone else already mentioned. Just looking through some of these comments are repeating now. I think I've gone through some of them. What do you think of a Nissan Skyline GTR EV, Manuel? I don't know what that is. I don't know much about modern cars, guys. Find them a bit boring. Citroen DSi, I'd have to look that up, but probably not. Merchandise, Stu Keen says, because merchandise takes a lot of time, and I don't think enough of you will buy it to make it worthwhile. Let's see, AMG, Tesla, Opel 400s. I'm just going down them through a bit now, guys, because Lotus Esprit V8 Final Edition. A Merak, no, because that V6, the Merak has the V6 that's also used in the Citroen and in the SM. And as much as I love the SM, the engine itself isn't the best feature. I don't think they're quite peculiar V6s. So if I got a Maserati, I'd probably want one of the V8s. The Noble's a cool car from Star Traveller. Porsche 928, yeah, cool, but again, a lot of work keeping up with those. Skoda Octavia VRS from Cornish Rider. Maybe they are interesting. More Integras. i3 for a daily. You know what, Andrew? I really like the i3. I've driven them a couple of times, and they are brilliant cars, and I like it that they are so different. Fiat Argenta is a cool car, Manuel, but hardly any about anywhere. Maserati Shamal, John. Yes, I would love a Shamal. Lancia Zagato. Yeah, that would be cool. Merchandise your PJs. I am wearing PJs at the moment. Actually, if you want to get 1 million views, do a video on a Skyline, like maybe do a Skyline month where you go through all the most iconic ones. So I had in 12 cars an R32 Skyline, wow, which at the time I bought for 12 grand and probably would now be 60, 70, I don't know. Loved it. Amazing cars. But I found with the Japanese stuff, I'll do it anyway if I'm interested, but I don't tend to get a huge amount of views. The Smiths UK says something British and characterful to keep you busy. Bristol, Jensen. Bristol would be cool. Someone's just mentioned Fix It Fellows, a Fiat Barchetta. I've done a video on that, which should be out in the next couple of weeks. Cool little car, I have to say, and this is bad because I am Italian. But an MX-5, I'd always loved a Barchetta, but now that I've driven one, or Barchetta, now that I've driven one, The MX-5 really is quite a lot better. The Barchetta has its own character, and it's so much rarer that it's very cool. But if I really had to pick, I would still have even as an Italian, I'd have an MX-5. Um, Dolomite Sprint, quite cool. GTV 6, they are cool cars. Of course, Pluto the Ninth, hi buddy. What if Fiat made supercars? Manuel Aljosa. Fiat did make I think supercar, the Fiat Dino, back in the late 60s. Panda 100 HP, I owned one for 12 cars, and didn't love it actually. But they're all right. They're all right, but didn't like it as much as I thought. DeLorean. They're cool cars, you know. I don't mind a DeLorean, but again, I think they're more money than I would want to pay. Nathan again says cheap EV for a daily. BMW i3 would be cool, but I need something that can do distances. So no. We have had a 425B turbo for the last 10 years. Mechanically, it has just been great, but rust. Christopher Smith. Great. You should get in touch with me, Christopher Smith, because I want to do a video on one of those. So 425B turbo, I'm not sure which one that is, but it is, I think, a late 80s one. So I'd love to do that. Yes, send me a message, please. Email. The emails are at the end of all the videos. Reliant Scimitar 308 is great, guys. Yeah, E-Type Jaguar, Polly Pocket, hello. Chris Banks, hello, Chris. Ernest Fitch, 79. Triumph Stag, John Island. Have you driven an Alpha 164? Yeah, John, not as a daily driver. My dad used to have one, so I know what they're like. They're good. 164s are really good. And JM has recently just done a Quadrifoglio review, and he really liked it. Hey, Lee Pitcher. Lambo Jalpa, would love to drive one of those. Again, looking for one for the videos. E9 3-litre CSI, beautiful car, yield to the night, but expensive again. 1961 Imperial, probably not for me. Honda NXX, I'd love the first NSX, guys, but let's see, where are we with the messages? I think we've caught up. That's good. So, what time is it? 1:45. So while we're here, I'm sort of towards the end of the messages from everybody. I'm sorry if I missed your question. Put it again, and we'll see. Cycle Stefa says, "Sei Italiano," so he's Italian, and he didn't know I was Italian. I am Italian, but I came to the UK when I was 7 years old. Both my parents are Italian, born in Italy. Came to the UK in 1982, 84. And that's why I sound so anglicized, but I do speak fluent Italian. I do like the Italian stuff still. I have a bit of a particular bond with that, but the British cars as well. I love it all. It's such a shame that both industries have basically disappeared. It's just heartbreaking. You know, look at Italy, produces less cars than Turkey nowadays, which is just mental. And all the British makes have gone to foreign ownership, which is also a big shame. But I guess at least some of them are still around. Let's see if there's anything else here. E3453i Touring, James says. I've just done an E34 M5 Touring. So we'll see. That video should be out soon at some point. So how about Friday nights, crack a beer open from Martin and have a car-related live chat? Okay, so that's an idea on what to do differently on the channel. I mean, I should try and do live chats a bit more regularly, I think, if I can. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that's good for bonding with audience, but I don't think it's quite gonna be, I think I'm trying to find some way to make the channel a bit more distinctive and do something a bit more special about the reviews. As I mentioned, doing more research, having more, in-depth stuff about the cars is one way. But there's got to be some other stuff I can do to make it a bit more distinctive, I suppose. Mazda Speed 3, Rob, not sure what that is. I can't remember. Build the Kit Car Stratos from Ua Bird. Kit Car Stratos, interesting thing. I don't know. I think there's a lot of those about. I think it would only be really cool if you used a proper Ferrari Dino engine to make a Kit Car Stratos, to make it really like the original. But that would then start costing quite a lot of money. Someone's mentioned a Volvo Estate with a turbo in it, which funny enough, my mate Jogo has done already, and I've been trying to do a video on that. It's it's in one of the 80s ones, and I've been trying to do a video on that, and it just hasn't worked out. It's just taken too long, and yeah, I think he still needs to do stuff to, I don't know, Morgan plus 8, cool. Super Mirafiori Sport, the Fiat, I'd love to do that, just haven't had anyone offer me one so far. Does anyone, I see you're still mentioning cars and things like that, we've got another 10 minutes. If you've got something, sorry, I just had a text in from the message. Hey, Connor, nice to see you as an old school mate who's watching the live feed there, just distracting me for a sec. If you've got anything else that you want to ask, apart from just at the moment, you've sort of mentioned car ideas and so on, which I've really appreciated, and you can carry on doing that. But if you have any other questions about anything else you want me to talk about while we're here, then let me know. Paul Dolden, hey, buddy. Long-time subscriber who's got his own channel doing detailing. Do pop and have a look. It's Paul Dolden Details. He's also on here and says hello. Chris Banks says, do a road trip to Italy in your Ferrari before you sell it. I've kind of just explained, and again, I don't know if I missed them, but this idea of trying to have arranging a meetup here in Oxfordshire somewhere where whoever can and wants to can come and meet up with me, and we do a 27 meetup, but also I will bring the Influenzas so you can all see it before it goes. That's the idea. And that would make maybe a goodbye video for the Influenza as well. Do you like that idea? Because I can't think I've seen anything in the comments about that. I might have just missed it. But otherwise, the road trip to Italy, at the moment, guys, it's just too expensive. I mean, I think I'm looking at, to go down to Maranello in the Influenza, a couple of days there, at least a couple of days back. It's holiday time, which is difficult because I won't be filming. And I reckon really between petrol, the Channel Tunnel, the French auto route, all that stuff, I'm going to be looking at least a couple of grand. And it's a video that will maybe pay me £100. And I could do it as my own thing, as a holiday, and I'd like to do that. But in the moment, sometimes I have to make choices of things that, with YouTube, the way it is at the moment, I have to make choices on things that are worth doing altogether and things that just don't make much sense. The trip to Italy would make sense as part of a longer thing, maybe, but I've already got another holiday planned, so that's not going to happen. But as I said, let me know what you think about the idea of meeting up, and you can see the Influenza for yourselves, And someone else, Hip Finds, is obsessed with Pistachio. He isn't here, buddy. The little shit has literally gone. He's out at this time of night. So Pistachio, he sleeps most of the day, and then around 9 p.m. He goes out, does his thing, hunting, whatever he does, and then he literally comes in, and his eyes are like, black round marbles. Then I know he's going to be naughty, and he's just on one, and he isn't here at the moment. He might pop in just before. Glad a lot of you are seeing that Influenza meet is a good idea. Am I going to Radwood next month? Not sure. I have wanted to go, but not sure. Someone else, realdriver.com, says, I think you need more clickbaity video thumbnails to increase views, unfortunately. Right, so the clickbait thing is a big thing. I rarely get people accusing me of clickbait, and I hope not, because I really try not to do clickbait. I try and have something which makes the video interesting. So I try and highlight something interesting about the video, but it's always there. I'll never pluck it out of thin air to draw you in and then con you, because I think that's a bad thing. But the last video that I did, it's about finding a good title, which is real. So the last Pantera video I did, which is over now 300,000 views, still going strong. That car, it was modified 600 horsepower, and the strap line for it was a 50-year-old car faster than most modern cars, and that was a great title, and that worked, and a great thumbnail, and that's what it's all about. But Is that clickbait? No, I don't think it is clickbait. It's good. It was a good, really good thumbnail, and a good idea, and it worked. And that's what I've got to do. But it's much easier with some cars rather than others, unfortunately. Again, it's just flipped up. But Radwood, Subaru Legacy, yes to the Influenza meet. Christopher Smith, I can't find your email address. Christopher Smith, it's Jack, JACK, dot PE, Papa Echo, at btopenworld.com. But if you go to any of my videos, at the end of the latest videos, there's always in the last 10 seconds or 15 seconds, it has the email address there. Tom C. Devon says, keep improving the sound and output makes a huge difference. So, do you think there's a problem with the sound quality in the videos? I think some of them, like the last Pantera one I did, the sound wasn't great, but that's just because it was so noisy inside. I think on most of them, it's okay. Mark Rivers says, want to hear more about your past life lobbying in politics or some sorts you have about our country's current state, where you think we can all make changes for the better for everyone. Mark, that's a really positive thing. I appreciate you putting that up, but I don't want to get into politics per se because it's a car channel, and I just don't think that's a good thing to do, really. I think keeping well out of politics on a car channel is a wise thing at the moment. But yes, I was a lobbyist. I worked in London. I worked for a country in Eastern Europe for about 8 years. It was quite interesting, weird thing, and met a lot of politicians. And some of them are good, and some of them aren't. They're just like normal people. Not all politicians are arseholes at all. Some of the MPs I worked with were amazing, really good guys. Some of them a bit less so, and some of them were, a bit more dedicated than others. But there are good MPs as well. Pluto, thanks for the invite to the US. I do want to go at some point. I really would love to. Dale Rowley, how about a road trip around the UK, driving epic roads, getting together with other Italian car owners? Dale, that sounds like a lovely idea, driving around, meeting other people with Italian cars. But the reality of filming in unknown locations is that it's very difficult to make something that looks good and that works. It's quite stressful because you don't have things under control. You don't know what's going on. And again, road trip videos, when I've done them in the past, have just not done anything. So that's why I haven't done much. The only person I know who seems to be able to get away with those is Harry Metcalf. I don't know, maybe because he's quite charming. I don't know Harry, why he does, but he gets away with those. He gets good numbers for those, but they're also quite epic things. He took the Ferrari Testarossa to Morocco, to the desert. He drove the Rolls Royce, the 70s Silver Shadow or something, I think it was, up to the North Pole. So they require a lot of investment and having the car and all the rest of it. And we'll see. Chris is offering to pay my petrol if he comes with me on a road trip for the Influenza. I appreciate the offer, Chris. Do donuts in Clarkson's parking lot from Edgemarsm. Well, actually, Clarkson's really close to where I am, the Diddley Squat shop. I've never, I like Clarkson. I've never understood what the point of the Diddley Squat shop was personally. Loads of people go and visit it. It's a little shack with some produce. I don't know. He's got the Midas touch, I think. Vigan Saab, how about some number 27 subscribers cars videos edited by you? So you guys do the videos, I edit them. That's interesting. I think you'll find it's an interesting idea and one I haven't thought of, Vigan Saab, that you send me your footage. I mean, what could be interesting is, things like you send me, I don't know, maybe a walk around of your car. Actual filming, I think you'll find if you try and do it and get it to look good, does take a bit of knowledge. But it might be an interesting thing to have, I don't know, someone send me like say we keep it to like 15 seconds, a walk around of their car or something like that. And I put it at the end of each video. It's an interesting idea. I'll think about that somehow. I don't know how it could be put in, or one video a month with readers' cars. But again, it's not the thing I think would get views, readers' cars. That reminds me of something else. Take the Influenza to Port Myron instead, Italian-style village in Wales. Ah, Port Myron, that's quite cool. From Theo Marshall, just an interesting idea. Polly Pocket, do you live near Harry? Yes, I do. As I said, I live closer to the road that he uses, and to be fair, that he used before I did. But I live closer to it than Harry does. I live right next door to it. He's a little bit further afield, but yeah, I don't know exactly where he lives. I know roughly the area. Bathmeister wants pistachio on the Lashio. um, Oliver Maltby, track day fast road car series where you buy a project and upgrade it over the course of a period of time. Yeah, I mean, it's something I could do. I could do that with the Elise, but it's so good as a standard Elise that I don't think I want to do. I don't think it needs anything, that S1, apart from needs to drive the way it should, which it isn't quite yet. Maybe getting something and doing it up, but again, then there's costs involved, spare parts and all the rest. And hello, Easy. Piston Head meets at Bicester Heritage on Saturday, the 12th of August. Unfortunately, I am away there, Easy, 12th of August. And also the other problem is that only people with tickets to the Piston Heads meet would be able to come and see that. But I'm going to come up with, guys, with an idea and an area. I'll find something out, and we will try and get something and meet up with the Influenza maybe towards the end of August at this point, I think. Jussi mentions Marcos as cars. Never had much to do with them. I think interesting cars. And then Bathmeister, go to Italy in the Influenza. I'll pay the Eurotunnel cost. Thanks, guys, for all the offers to pay for the trip to Italy. I don't think it's going to happen time-wise as well, but I really appreciate you guys offering up cash for that as well. That's very kind of you. Someone's asking about voters, green initiatives and stuff. Again, I don't want to get into politics about green and, I don't know. I guess it's the ULEZ thing in London. I don't know. Look, okay, actually, I will talk about a little bit about the green taxes and all that stuff on cars and my for against all that kind of stuff. I don't know if ULEZ in London has been done in the best way. It's always going to be really difficult to do something like that properly without disadvantaging some people, often the people who are poorest. So I'm not sure if it's if it's been done the best way possible. I guess they have to do something. And it's sad for me because I've grown up with petrol in my veins, loving cars. And it's just disorientating to see what cars are becoming. These really, they're great, but they're quite soulless electric things. And the cars of my era and modern cars, I mean, they've all gone. The manuals have gone and everything's changed. It's weird. But we have to do something. So I don't know what the best way forward is. Maybe ULEZ isn't the best way, but they have to do something. I just wish that they would do it in a way that, because the ridiculous thing about ULEZ, I suppose, is that, you can have like a Porsche Taycan and, and you can use a shitload of electricity and you can pootle about in your old Fiesta and use bugger all, but because it emits a tiny bit of carbon, then you have to pay, and the guy with the Taycan doesn't. All that's going to change anyway, guys, because, I mean, some people have been shocked, but it was always obvious that electric cars will be taxed, right? So all that stuff with electric cars not being taxed, that's not going to, road tax is going to come in, and even things like the congestion charge eventually will apply to electric cars as well. Just trying to find more stuff. I've lost my thread. Right. Just a way to tax people, Kavinsky says. Well, yeah, okay. Well, I don't think it is just that, but that comes into it as well. But, something has to be done. You can't carry on emitting the way we have done. And, I think efficient cars would be the way forward. It's a shame that SUVs have become so popular because really they are inefficient cars. The smaller cars were more efficient. So it's a shame that we're all getting really green, but driving massive cars with crap aerodynamics, because they're like big bricks. Someone mentioned Port Myron again, famous for the prisoner. Yeah, that's right. I do remember that, and that is cool. Jeremy mentions an F10 M5. Interesting prospect. But what would that be? As a daily, it's just going to be too expensive to run because I think it uses as much petrol as my Bentley. and they're fairly unreliable, I think. Matt Duke says, when is the Fiat Dino Coupe being uploaded? It's a coupe, it's a 2 litre, and it's been, I don't know when it's been uploaded. I've got it, just haven't, it's still sitting there. I don't plan when I'm going to do videos. I see how things are going, what's been released next. I look at what I've got, and then I chuck it in as I think it fits. So it kind of varies a lot. Sometimes they come out within a week of filming, sometimes a month or even longer. Christopher, take a few car trips to museums or private collections. Again, I think Hubnut, a very nice guy, by the way, Ian. You know, he does that kind of stuff. Sort of his views aren't great with those sorts of things either, but I guess maybe I should do that occasionally. Not sure how good I am at ad-libbing like that in that kind of situation, you know, where you have to just like throw out a steady stream of language and you can't edit and take out all the ums and ifs and all that kind of it. Because when you guys see the videos, that's something else. It's interesting when people bring me cars and, you know, we do the filming, and some people realize, but some people are a bit shocked because obviously I have to do more than one take. And often I repeat things a few times and they go, oh, we thought you just sat there and went through it. And, you know, heads up, no, I don't. You know, I'll be saying something and I'll make a mistake and say the wrong thing or say it the wrong way, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. So we don't do hundreds of takes, and sometimes I am a one take wonder, but it's rare. Usually you have to sort of try a few things and say things a few times. Right. What time have we got? 5 past. I've stayed a bit longer. I'll stay another 10 minutes and see. R Zarb 73. So 73, presume you were born in 73, so my same age. He started looking because of the Influenza, and he's in Malta. Hi, buddy. Yeah, you know, and I have to say about the Influenza, if it wasn't for that car, I wouldn't be here, right? Because when I started with the Influenza, I had 14,000 subscribers. Within, I think, 6 months, it was up to 30 or 40. So it really helped give me that leg up. But then each successive project that I did, from the S-Class to then the Merc, to the BX, to then the Merc, and so on, got less and less views, and that's why I haven't done those as much, and also health stuff, really. Kavinsky says, if you're over £3,500, you don't get taxed. I don't know about that. Is that a US thing? Are you in the US? And so they're incentivized to make heavier cars. Yeah, it's mental that they're just getting heavier all the time, I think. Adrian Monk, another sponsor car manufacturer, demonstrates some new cars without punishing them. Not sure what you mean there. And just a quick thanks to Taina, by the way, who are my sponsor. I was also with collecting cars, bidding classics for a bit, and that was great. But Taina is still my sponsor and have been for a long time, and they're very low maintenance guys. You know, they just have that little clip in the video, which is what I want. I do not want to do those sort of integrations. I mean, I might have to at some point, but I don't want to do the one where I sit there for 2 minutes talking about, you know, like a ball raiser or anything like that. I'd rather avoid that if I can. And Taina are a great sponsor, and a great company as well, which is why I'm happy to do that. Everyone I've spoken to has always been happy with their service. Car weight, John Mull, interesting point. The congestion charge will be charged on the weight of cars eventually, and that's great. Look who's just turned up. I've just heard him. Pistachio, vieni, come up. Talk to him in Italian. Come up, come on, boy. Come on, show them. Where are you? Yeah, this is where he's a bit of a lunatic. Come on. The thing about cats is they don't do what you want. Come on, little buddy. Come here so I can show you to everyone. Come up here. Come on. Here he is. So he's a bit wet. He's been out, and this guy is a little shit. He loves to play bite. And oh, don't bugger off. Obviously, because I'm trying to hold him now. He's been a little shit, but there he is. He's quite cute. Or I'm quite attached to him. I did actually want a dog, but I just couldn't commit. I've always liked dogs. I haven't particularly been a cat person. I couldn't really, you know, I go out all the time and everything else, so I couldn't really do the dog thing. And my partner's cat had kittens, and you know, as I spent a bit more time with her cats, I just started to quite like cats too. I'm actually allergic normally, but I've kind of got used to them, so that's great. Let me see if there's anything else, and then we're going to call it a day fairly soon. Let's see here where we are. And any more questions about anything else you want to know? At least we've got to see Pistachio, so that is good. Trippy Boxer, hello. Matthias, hello. Don't think I've mentioned you guys before. Sorry if I haven't mentioned some of you or I missed your questions. I'm really sorry. It's just hard to keep up with it all. Chris Banks says you cannot hurt a cat. Indeed not, but he's a good... Yeah, he is in crazy mode, Kaczynski, exactly. But he's a good laugh. Vampire Bear 13 says dogs are better than cats. Let's have a debate about it. Dogs are amazing, and I do love dogs. I always have done. But I have to say, having spent some time with a cat, I do really like cats as well. And they're not as malleable as dogs, but once you spend a bit of time with them, I think like with most animals, you see their quirks and their character, and you'll get to love them as well. Dogs, you know, cats are still very cool. Very cool. Pixel Barn Studios. Hello, buddy. This is my mate James, and he wanted me to call Pistachio number 28, which was quite a good idea. Paul Walton says, what about an electric people's car for now? Where are the Miners, the Minis, the Ladas, the Beetles? Everything is so aspirational. Maybe the odd city car. What about an electric people's car, Paul? I think there are some being made, aren't there? Especially in India and stuff. Bispal Paul, another mate. Hello, buddy. Thanks for joining. Just buy an MR2 F355 replica. Ticks all your boxes. It kind of does in a way, if they weren't so hideous. Ferrari guy, get a laser, point the cat where you want him, and it will... Yeah, that's quite a laser. Might be fine for him. Fiat used to be the parent company of Ferrari, says Andy's 15 Seconds of Fame. And that is very true. For a long time, Fiat owned Ferrari. Now I think they're completely separate companies. And it's really sad to see what Fiat has become. I don't know if any of you have any views on this, but, you know, I did the Fiat 130, which was their flagship from the 60s, where they tried to compete with Mercedes. And it's actually a really good car. I mean, spectacularly unsuccessful, but a really good car. I've got a video out on it. And... you know, and the Fiat Dino that they did with a Ferrari engine. Can you imagine a Fiat now with a Ferrari engine? I mean, they did some interesting stuff back in the day. They did some really cool cars, and now they're relegated to what? Nothing. The 500, but hardly even that. Nick Hill wants to know my motorcycle history. Just quickly then, I did ride motorbikes for years. I didn't ride cars from from the age of sort of 30 to 40 or something like that. And basically, I've had all sorts of bikes. I've had Ducatis 748s. I've had BMW GSs, 1150s, and the 1200. I had two RSVRs, the early big RSVs, which were amazing. Aprilias, love those, especially the second, the R RSV, and then there was the R with the Öhlins suspension, was incredible. I do miss bikes, but again, wasn't great for my back and all that kind of stuff. And plus, I survived a couple of crashes and thought, you know what, I've been lucky for long enough now. And I was just starting to ride really fast, and you just know that on the road you could just easily, you know, I had my 10 years, but I'd love to do maybe some, you know, I used to do green laning, and that was amazing, and I'd love to do a bit of green laning again. Frank Cassidy's on. Hey, Franco, how you doing? Nice to see you. Oh, and there he is, and he's put, have you bought the silk 90 yet? Yeah, ready and waiting for you, buddy. So that's referring to someone actually said the last video I did talking about my fleet, I wore the PJs, which I am wearing now. Again, in honor of the Influenza, because the very first Influenza video where I was on the sofa bidding, I did that in the PJs, and I wore them subsequently in loads of videos. And it was weird because it drives some people absolutely mental. And I don't understand it. You may not like it, but there's some people feel so strongly. Anyway, one viewer felt so strongly. He didn't even put it in the comments of the video. He emailed me personally, and I put this on my Instagram. He emailed me personally to say how disgusted he was, how incredible it was, how cheap the channel had become, and that he'd unsubscribed because of the PJs. So as a joke, Frank on that mentioned the 90, and that's where that comes from. But nice to see you, buddy. Thanks for dropping in. I really appreciate it. Frank, by the way, is also Frank Cassidy of Box and Gas. runs an amazing event, which is coming soon now in August. If you do a search for boxandgas.com, I think, or just Box and Gas Porsche, his website will come up. It's an amazing event. If you like your Porsches, particularly the air-cooled stuff, and he's done some amazing stuff with his new buildings. We've been friends since our 964 days, a long time ago. If you're into your Porsches and your 911s, there's no better event in the UK. So do go and have a look at that. Now, let's see what else there is. I'm going to go in a minute, guys. Someone else mentioned 996 as a daily. I'm sure someone offered it in Part X for my Bentley, but now the Bentley's sold. But I was quite tempted. I love 996s, especially the fried egg ones. So, Rodrigo Antudes says, what about bikes? Buy a Hayabusa, best bike in the world, does everything so well. Well, I haven't ridden bikes for a few years now. I have ridden them, but I haven't owned one and everything. And I am worried about killing myself, frankly, in a bike. But for everybody else who's never ridden motorbikes, there is something that is just, they are unlike anything else. If you love your thrills, you love your cars, ride a proper motorbike. And you can ride a Harley or whatever. They're also good fun. But for pure emotions in terms of what you get from a bike, if you ride, like a big uprighty Ducati Monster type thing, anything like that. I'm not up with the latest bikes, but I had also Cagiva Raptor, which had a Suzuki TL1000 twin engine in it, which was from a bike known as the Widowmaker, because it killed a lot of people. The handling was so dodgy and the engine had so much torque. And those were amazing. The feelings you get on a motorbike still, you cannot replicate in any car. Whatever, the most exciting car in the world is incredible, but you get in a bike and you are at one with this thing. You're moving. It is incredible. Maybe I should ride bikes again. And Franco says, what do you think about old Fiats? I love old Fiats, Alfetta Alpha 75. Yeah, I'd like to drive them for a bit. I wouldn't like to own either an Alfetta or an Alpha 75, I think. Although I think an Alfetta in like petrol blue is incredibly cool. Paul, Bispal 986 do drive better than the 996, which is the Boxster. He's got Boxster and he loves it, and he is a real petrol head. Just been to Italy in his. Yeah, no, I know they're great, buddy. I really, really do like them a lot. But if I got a 986, well, it would be after 986. I think it would have to be the Cayman, because I've already got an open top car. I don't want another one. And Caymans are too much money for what is exactly the same car as the one you have, quite frankly. So I don't know. And doctors call motorcyclists organ donors. Yeah, that's right, Chris. It is dangerous. Motorbikes are so dangerous. But wow. Test a 1979 Trans Am, says Ernest. CA400. Wow. I would like to test a Trans Am, actually. That would be quite good. Panda 4x4 from the Steer Puchwan from Mike. They are legendary cars, absolutely. Research lost Italian brands or coach builders, Christopher. Be interesting, lost Italian brands maybe for a vlog video, but I don't think it's something that would get a massive amount of views. And James is suggesting combine both passions, because I like the radio control stuff, and do a Tamiya Wild One Max. And someone emailed me with that as well. Interesting thing, wouldn't mind doing it, but I think they've already done their press thing, so they don't know how much a small channel like mine would be of interest to them. And plus, I think all the other people like Johnny Smith and so on are going to cover them way before I get the chance. So LOL Film mentions an E34 or E39 as a car to get. Do like them, but again, E39 might still be a daily. E34 I wouldn't want to use as a daily now. James is saying he'll swap his 986 for the Elise. I know, buddy, but not at the moment. And someone else mentioned a 166 3.2 V6. You know what? I've never driven a 166, and I would quite like to. It's again another interesting car, flawed, but interesting and special. And again, Bispal, i.e. Paul, is trying to convince me to go for a 987 2.7 Cayman, which is cheaper than the Golf GTI Mark 7, which I was looking at getting instead of the 306, and does 40 miles to the gallon. So, but not as practical though, buddy. I think I do need a car because I only have the Elise. Then I'm going to get a Classic, and then I do need a car that's semi-practical, I think. Electric unicycle with a hipster gnome hat from Matt Densham. Brilliant idea. M339. Is there an M3 E39? Isn't that the M5? Oh, I'm getting confused here. I think that was an M5. And Ferrari guy, the Volvo P1800. The reason why I didn't reply to you before is because I'd already talked about a P1800, and I would like to do a review. So if someone has one, get in touch with me. Larry George, hello, buddy. Mention Larry because I've seen he's been commenting on my videos for years. So nice to see you. He's in Canada. Thanks, buddy, for joining. X19 has been mentioned before, and I like them, but no. Dodge Charger or Plymouth Barracuda from Mark Keane, like a classic American thing. Do you know what? I've had an obsession for a long time for the Plymouth Fury, which is the car that featured in Christine, the Stephen King novel. And that is because when I was about 12, I read that novel, which is, for a novel of that kind, it's not high literature, but it is absolutely fantastic. And that's when I first got to know about the Plymouth Fury or Christine. If you don't know it, look it up. It's an incredible, example of sort of late 50s Americana. And it looks just unbelievable. I would love to have one of those. The thing is, they're so big and so thirsty that you just never end up using it. But I would like to own a big American car, but I think that would have to be if I ever lived in America. The same goes for the 65 Mustang that was mentioned there. Victor Nunes says, "Hey Victor, M3 E36, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Evo that I drove, I really liked. People don't like it, but yeah." Get your old mate Chris Harris on for a chat from Clive Thompson. I doubt I could get Chris on, but yeah, I was housemates with him at university, and he is a very handy driver, and he's very funny when he's in a good mood. I've sort of spoken to him occasionally in the last few years, but yeah, I doubt he'd come on for a chat or appear on any of my videos. Get an Alpina D3 3 liter B turbo. Yeah, I think they probably are very good. Gran Torino, yeah, very cool. Very cool. You know what else about the American stuff I like is that Coke bottle Corvette, which people don't like. I can't remember which C it is. It's the 70s one, the earlier ones of those. I know they don't handle, and they feel a bit like pieces of crap when you're in them because they're built quite shoddily, but I think they look awesome and they're still pretty cheap, and it's still like a V8. So they're quite cool. 944s, I like them, but no, not that interested in one of those at the moment. Let's see. Morgan Aero, yeah, but loads of money. 156 Sport Wagon GTA. Funnily enough, David Mitchell's come up with that. I had the 147, which is basically the same car GTA. And you know what, guys? I didn't love that car. The engine was epic, and I love the way it looked. But the rear suspension was awful, and everything did feel like it was going to come apart in your fingers. So I don't know. Probably no for an Alpha of that era at this point in time. But anyhow, there we go. Kavinsky says it was a C3 Corvette. I think it probably was 68 to 82. Yeah, I think you're right. 302 Boss Mustang. Interesting. Andy's 15 Seconds of Fame says, is there beef between you and Chris Harris? No, of course not. But, we were at uni together and everything else, and he's a high-level sort of car journalist. He's very, very good at what he does. But I don't really get to speak to him very much nowadays. There's the odd message, but that's about it. What's a Subway Tiger? No idea. Dodge Charger, very cool cars. Sunbeam, right? Yeah. Citrus SM, I do love them. The engines aren't great though, but such an absolutely bonkers car. And by the way, everybody, the SM is still the car of all the videos I've done. I think it's up to about 830,000 views. that is the car that I have done the most videos on. I'm going to call it a day now because it's getting quite late, but I really, really appreciate you joining me, including some of the real old faces and people who have been my friends and who I've known for a long time, and people who I've never met but have been with the channel for years. I really appreciate you coming on. And the last thing I'd ask you is if you come up with some more ideas on how I can make the channel a bit more distinctive in terms of, doing the reviews in a particular way or anything like that, then just send me an email. You know what my email is. It's on every video. Send me a video with any idea of that. And I'm glad most of you, I think, got to see Pistachio as well. He was literally in for 20 seconds and then he's just bombed back out again. At this time of night, he is just feral. He really is. He just, goes into like his devil mode. But really glad to see you all. Thank you all so much for supporting me. It's, I have to pinch myself still that I'm actually getting to do this and making, a living off it. So thank you so much and see you all really soon. And good night.